Okay, you guys, I'm back. Here is a Prashna example of a lost computer. Story behind this is that I was house sitting for my mother while she was out of town. I was living in downtown Charleston, and I had to go over the bridge to Mount Pleasant, and I watched her house for a little while. And I then, drove back. So I brought my things over there, because I was there for a day or two. So I brought my computer and my laptop, and then I drove back. And when I got back, I realized that I didn't have my MacBook. And so I just gotten back downtown, and I realized I didn't have my MacBook, and I didn't know where it was. And I knew that I had gotten everything from the house, so I was a little bit unsettled. I could remember taking it, out of the house. I could remember that. But I was very, I had that bad feeling. I was very unsettled. And I did not know where it was, so I casted a Prashna. This is the Prashna. This is the chart. So right away, what do we see? We see that it is Scorpio ascendant, which is the sign of death, and is a sign of things dying, and it is a fixed sign. Fixed signs indicate no change. So I pulled up some notes here. These are the notes I wrote about it. The Prashna is clearly denying it because a malefic Saturn is on the ascendant to begin with. A malefic on the ascendant means that this thing or this opportunity is not going to go easy. It's retrograde, and it's an inimical sign of Scorpio. And like I said, Scorpio is rising. It's the sign of death, and it's a fixed sign. Fixed signs indicate no real changes happening. A movable cardinal sign indicates, yes, this might change. If you're asking about that, or yes, you might find it. This is saying no, not exactly, not yet. Ascendant Lord Mars goes to the 12th house of loss and letting go and resolution. So the Lord of Scorpio is Mars, and it goes all the way to the 12th house of letting go and loss. So that indicates, okay, I'm losing something. I'm not gaining something. I'm losing something. So that also looked like I was losing my laptop. You want to know right away if you'll get it back, then where is it? But oftentimes people ask about a lost thing. First, we have to know, will you find it or get it back? So it was kind of right away saying, no, you're not getting this back. This thing is gone for good. Mars, number 4, Mars is not aspecting or connecting to the 4th Lord Saturn aside from ruling it. So there's no connection between the 4th and Mars. The 4th Lord Saturn. Mars is aspecting the 4th cusp to some degree, and that helps, but they're not connecting. They're not in Ithasala or applying yoga or separating. They're just not connecting. If they were applying, that would be different. Let me show this here. Number 5, the Lord of Gains. If you're going to acquire something, the 11th house is usually involved. The Lord of Gains is Mercury, and he is aspecting Saturn, the 4th Lord, also inimically, not in a friendly aspect, and he is separating from that 4th Lord. So the 11th Lord separating from the 4th Lord indicates separating from a gain, in other words, a loss. The 4th Lord is an aspect to the ascendant, which is good. So that is good. That's definitely one good plus. But it is in an enemy sign, a malefic sign, retrograded. And it's also aspected equally by cruel planets, Sun and Mercury, because Mercury is with the Sun, so Mercury is cruel. But then also by this nice Jupiter and Moon. So we might think that would be enough to cancel it out. And if you don't know the whole situation, that'll seem confusing. But I'll, keep listening. You'll understand where that fits in. But that alone is showing mixed results because of the aspect of 2 cruel and 2 gentle planets. Though the gentle ones are stronger. But I was pretty certain from seeing all that the laptop was gone for good and that I was not getting it back. So I wanted to see where it might be or where I could find it if so. So it seemed like the laptop was lost in water or in a watery environment because of being in Scorpio. And I didn't know how that made sense because I was on land the whole time. You know, I was not at the beach. You know, I wasn't by a pool. It didn't rain. There weren't like any things that connected to water that I could think of. So that was kind of weird. And then you see that Mars being in Libra indicated that it was perhaps lost in a marketplace, and perhaps lost in a marketplace, a parking lot, a road, a bridge, something like that. That's because they're all Libra environments. If you watched my video on Libra environments, then you already know that. Libra rules a lot of those places. It could rule caravans. It could also have been in a hotel that I lost it. You know, plenty of other places too. Those are what came to mind. So when I set out for it, I set out to retrace my steps and look for it, and I drove back over the bridge from downtown to the suburbs to my mom's home to search for it, and I couldn't find it anywhere there. And so I drove back, retraced my steps, and it wasn't until I was back going over the top of this big suspension bridge that takes you back downtown. I was over a bridge, over water, and then I saw the pieces of my laptop shattered into like 100 fragments and pieces. So a little white plastic of the MacBook was just shattered around on top of the bridge, and I could see the sleeve that I carried it in was on top of it too. So I knew that that was my MacBook. And yeah, so the laptop was shattered to pieces on top of the bridge, which is Libra, and as you see, Mars is in Libra, and it was over water, which is Scorpio. So you can see how these environments were super strong in there. It's not easy to see exactly how, and it'll probably take years of experience for me to be able to really nail these, or to be able to predict very accurately. But you can clearly see it. It's there, you know what I mean? And if you superimpose Scorpio and water and bridge, you know, some of the pieces might have even flown over into the water, but most likely not. Most likely they stayed on the bridge. But still, if you superimpose that, those are the two main environments involved in this project. The fourth lord in the sign it's in, and the Lagna lord in the sign it's in. Fourth lord is always important for the lost item, as I've mentioned before, the treasured item. So that's pretty much that with this Prashna. I pulled over and grabbed some pieces of it just to be sure, but it was destroyed. But the interesting thing is that note that Jupiter is with the moon and it's exalted in the 9th, and that's looking really good. It's a waxing moon. You would think that this might cancel it out somehow. And in a way it does if you know the whole situation, because I had just bought a new laptop the week before, a PC laptop, a super cheap Toshiba, the one I'm using to make this video now, so that I could run Kala, because it doesn't work on a Mac, or at least not easily. And so I had to buy a Kala PC. This was back in 2014, and I had to buy a PC to use the software to do my to do what I'm doing now, to do professional astrology. Before that, I was using Prashna's Light, which is a much worse software, like tremendously worse. Like, don't even buy that. Don't buy that software. And they even told me after I bought it that like in 3 or 4 years I'd have to rebuy it, and that they wouldn't even let me upgrade it or something, which was really just, I wouldn't even bought it if I'd known that. So I was very disappointed with that, and I know a lot of astrologers are going to watch this, so that's why I'm saying that, so don't buy that, and I hope that they've changed their policy about that by now. And Kala is the best software, everybody knows that. If not, you know, look into it and you'll know why. So anyways, it did work out in a way. It was like I had just got a new laptop. So this was one of the luckiest possible times, you know, in my entire life for me to lose a laptop, you know? And so if I had lost this MacBook a week before, it would have wrecked so many things in my life, and I would have lost so many charts and so much stuff. I got this Mac, I got this PC, and I just transferred over all of the charts that were important to me. Of course, I lost most of them, but all the important charts, and I just started using this, and then I lost that MacBook. So it was very, very fortunate and lucky. And that's being shown by the two gentle planets in the ninth, the lucky Jupiter in the ninth, and he is aspecting the ascendant. So that's where that kind of comes in. And then also, you can see that the ninth and the fifth lord are applying to each other in the ninth house. And that's a great placement for education and for learning a lot. And, well, yeah, I think I wrote this down. I'm actually getting ahead of myself. Let me show you here. So yeah, what's cool about Prajna is you can see the areas of life that are growing for a person, what areas are sort of waxing and what areas are waning in the person's life over that year. The Prajna kind of has about a year length. And this is great. This is very, this is just a really, really neat thing that I kind of can't convey to people except for with using examples. So what's it showing right here? Well, it's basically showing that my ninth and fifth house, or basically my ninth house factors are tremendously growing over this course of this year with these two gentle planets, exalted Jupiter and Moon in the ninth. And yeah, there is also Saturn aspecting, which is a cool planet, which takes it down a peg, but then, also Venus aspecting, also Mars. But predominantly this exalted Jupiter and really strong Moon are kind of, dominating the whole chart in terms of strength and whatnot. And so yeah, this was a tremendous part. This was a tremendous year for my learning and education, and you can really see that there. So the part of the chart that deals with education is the fifth, and then wisdom and learning is the ninth. The fifth lord is in the ninth, and they have this amazing yoga going on. And so this really shows how much I was learning at the time. I was learning so much about astrology. I'd just been taking a course on Prajna with Ryan Kurzak, and you can get that course. I think he still sells it on his website. I was taking that course. I was really, really enjoying it, and he was testing us with all these Prajnas. And so then this happens. And it was like time to test out what you learn, and it showed it and answered it so well that I was really just happy. I was at peace. I was learning so much, and that since this Prajna answered everything, I was just completely at peace with losing my MacBook. Whereas without this knowledge, I would have been very, very angry with myself and very frustrated and been a miserable person to be around for a lot longer after that. But I don't know. I actually could only look at this with gratefulness and gratitude because of how fortunate it was of a time to lose it, and how I'd also been learning so much and seeing this work out. So this was a very cool experience for me. That's why I wanted to share it. And I think the Prajna is very cool as well because it kind of shows. It's a good example because Prajnas are oftentimes a complicated situation that the person doesn't tell me a lot about. And so it can be harder to read than if they just tell me. Like if I ask someone, where's my lost computer, it might not make sense if I don't tell them, I just bought a new computer, by the way. So it might show that too in the chart. I just bought a new computer and I lost this old one. Where is the old one? So you should when you get a reading, you need to tell your astrologer everything that's pertinent to your situation and not expect them to be a mind reader is one important thing. And then when it comes to even simple things like Prajna, be specific in the question you ask, because otherwise the astrologer might be misled from the beginning. But yeah, anyways, this is a cool example. If you have any questions about it, let me know. There's probably even more. I remember studying this for like an hour after it happened, and I'm sure I saw other things. These are just the notes that I grabbed that I remembered from now, which has been several years, at least 3 years. So, yeah. Anyways, thanks, y'all. Take care.